folks. One of the chapters in the Bible that has always helped me to get a perspective of life in the 21st century has been Hebrews chapter 11. A chapter that has sometimes been referred to as the New Testament Hall of Heroes. In many of our Bibles, this chapter is headed simply by the words, by faith. It's a chapter that we're reminded about these heroes of faith from the Old Testament and their faith and their trust in God. But Hebrews 11 speaks not only about their exploits of faith, but also their awareness that they were strangers and exiles on the earth. They realized that their ultimate goal was in looking forward to the city that has foundations, whose designer and builder is God. These men and women of faith that we read about serve as examples for us today of living by faith, while at the same time realizing that this is not our home, that we are strangers and exiles, and we, like them, are looking forward to our ultimate home. All these heroes became heroes of faith not by their abilities. They were like us, fallible in character. But they were listed in the Hall of Heroes because they put their faith in God, even in the most difficult of circumstances. In the beginning of chapter 12, the writer of Hebrews appeals to his readers of future generations that we will be motivated in our faith, that we will be motivated being aware that we are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses to run the race looking to Jesus. The writer does not ultimately encourage us to look to these old covenant heroes of faith for our motivation to run the race. Rather, we are to run the race, looking unto Jesus, the founder and the perfecter of our faith. Jesus is not only our supreme example of faith that endures to the end, he is also the founder of our faith, and that it is in him that our faith is also being perfected. It is keeping our eyes upon Jesus that will not only help us to grow in our affection for Christ, it will also keep the trials and challenges that we face in this life in perspective. Always remembering that this is not our home. This is not our best life. The old hymn says, "Turn your eyes upon Jesus. Look full in his wonderful face, and the things of earth will grow strangely dim in the light of his glory and grace." In these difficult and challenging times as a result of COVID-19 restrictions, it is important that we do not become absorbed and consumed by the pandemic. We must ensure that COVID and all its implications do not fill our attention and our thoughts. That COVID doesn't become an idol. An idol is anything that replaces God in our thoughts and actions. COVID is a common challenge to us all, but it is not the only challenge that many of us are walking through and facing in our lives today. And so often we look to many different options to help us in these challenges and in these trials. But the Bible exhorts us to look to Jesus. Not the government, not the scientists or the medical professional, although we thank God for all those God is using to alleviate suffering and bring in an end to the pandemic. But looking to Jesus will help us have a right perspective. Not only will looking to Jesus give a right perspective, but looking to Jesus as the perfecter of our faith will strengthen our faith. And as a result, we will experience his sustaining grace. As we walk through the challenges of life together, we can do no better service for one another than to encourage one another as we walk through the trials of life to look to Jesus, to point one another to Jesus. It is in Christ that our faith will be perfected, and it is in looking to Jesus that we'll gain an eternal perspective of the things that we're facing. In Ephesians 3, Paul prays for the church for spiritual strength. In his prayer, he prays that Christ would dwell in our hearts through faith. Let that be our prayer. Let Christ be magnified in our hearts through faith. And may we grow in seeing the benefit of our union with Christ as Christ himself. And let Christ become himself our joy.